Hi there. My name's Geoff Hughes. I'm a Melbourne jazz guitarist, um, and I'm going to talk to you about today about the Rod Octagon B2 guitar, which was a guitar I had made for me by Rod 8 years ago now. So this review's a long time coming. Um, it's probably a good time in a way to talk about it because it's first time in my life really where I've had a guitar where 8 years later I'm still talking about it and I'm still really liking it, and it still gives me something to think about, and it seems to have qualities that I've yet to uncover. And overall it's just been a real experience to have an instrument which um, on one hand is always great to play, and on the other hand brings me something different to work with, um, and that's always a good thing. Not it's not a struggle. In the early days when I bought this guitar off Rod, when he made it for me, um, we had to kind of tweak a couple of things, not very much at all, because we did talk about the instrument, um, and its dynamic and what we wanted to happen. And if you can look just behind me here, just here, you'll see the guitar that this was based on, which is the B1 model. And um, they're essentially, in many ways, kind of sisters. They have essentially the same kind of timbers in the build and the same design. The large bout lower body, sort of L5 style, the single pickup. This one has got the floating pickup in the bridge, near the bridge. It's a single coil Benedetto. This one's got the pickup set into the top of the guitar, and it's a humbucker. And that was a deliberate thing because whilst this guitar is an absolute beauty, I mean, really, you have to play it. It's so beautiful. But um, for me, playing with drums and in various stage situations, it was a little sensitive to feedback. So hence a revisit to the whole idea of it, but with certain modifications in order to mitigate feedback, but to try and retain the qualities of the instrument. So when we're talking about the timbre involved, which affects the sound and probably differentiates this guitar from a lot of archtop type guitars that use this sort of generic shape. This guitar's got an Engelmann spruce top, so you sort of European type spruce, with Australian blackwood timber on the back and sides. Now this has a real impact on the tone, and the real, I guess, the essential ingredient sound-wise is that you're going to get a much crisper mid-range, um, and a zing, a little bit like guitars with a spruce top that have that kind of light, that sort of, if you like, that kind of buoyancy in the sound. It's the same thing with this, and it's largely to do with the combination of these timbers. It's very even, but you can hear it's got that slightly acoustic vibe. I'm actually running this through the through my RME Babyface and the microphone in front of me as well, so you're sort of getting a bit of both, but you can hear the inherent acoustic quality of the sound, and some of that is retained through the pickup, obviously in a different way. So as well as the timbers on the body, I mean, it's probably hard to see it, but I can tell you the workmanship on all this trim is just absolutely beautiful. And around the F-holes, all the details. On the back of the neck, you'll see Rod put Purple Heart through the it's Purple Heart Maple, I think, through the neck. That's the same as the guitar behind me. It has the same thing. I think they're both rosewood, Indian rosewood. I'm not sure about that one. I know this is Indian rosewood on the fingerboard. And Rod's also, I think it is a myrtle finish on the top of the headstock. The other things that this guitar has, in the beginning, I was kind of surprised to have the Tune-o-matic bridge saddles here, because of, you know, most of these guitars that I've played in the past have had wooden saddles to kind of keep that nice woody sort of sound. But the convenience of being able to tune each string's just been too good to miss, and I really don't miss anything from the having a wooden saddle here. The other thing that changed was that the original tailpiece was metal, and this has been replaced with an ebony one. And the other thing, which is probably the biggest one, was that the original pickup was a Benedetto Seymour Duncan. I think it's the same series as the one on this guitar, which is that's a single coil pickup. I replaced it because it was a bit too aggressive for this instrument, and this is just a stock Kent Armstrong pickup, which is still precise and still allows the quality and the sort of the body of the guitar to come through, but it's just not as gnarly, basically. Yeah. So guitar's still got that acoustic quality, but the thing you'll notice about it, well, this is the thing that I notice about it all the time, is that the action and sound are even all over the fingerboard. It just doesn't have any kind of nasty little wolfs or peaks anywhere. I mean, you might find sometimes in a particular room, the room itself will have a sort of a sensitivity towards certain frequencies, but this guitar played acoustically, you just don't hear that kind of, I guess what it really trying to say is you sort of hear a unity of dynamic all over. That's also reflected in the way the guitar feels, because it feels like that too, and you actually feel connected to all those notes, whether they're up high or down low. And of course, the body resonates with all of them, and that's really great for me. I can really feel all those low frequencies, and be confident that when I'm playing kind of at a reasonably loud volume that the guitar's still secure feedback-wise. Like most of these guitars, it's got its limits, but it's definitely light years better than some of the ones of this sort of type that I've played. The